Good afternoon. I'm Priscilla Ingle, Vice President of Customer Relations and Sales for Via Metropolitan Transit. Buenas tardes y bienvenidos. Yo soy Priscilla Ingle, Vicepresidenta de Servicio a Cliente y Ventas de Via Metropolitan Transit. Para todos quienes prefieren participar en español, oprima estrella 0. Thank you for joining us today for this virtual VIAtrans workshop. Over the next hour, we will be discussing our VIAtrans service, Via's service option for persons who cannot utilize regular bus service because of a disability. This is important opportunity for us to get you to speak with us directly, answer your questions, and listen to your comments during this live workshop. Today, we will be discussing VIAtrans trip cancellation policy, the ViaLink downtown zone service, and Via's next generation fare box. This workshop gives us a chance to speak directly with the community we serve and answer as many questions as possible. This is an interactive forum, and we want to hear from you. We'll be asking your opinion on some survey questions. We also want to answer as many questions as possible of yours over the next hour. If you have questions, you can press *3 on your phone keypad at any time, and you will be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff. After that, the next time you hear your name, you will be live on the call and you will be able to ask your question directly to us. Y para las participantes que prefieren escuchar en español, bienvenidos. Favor de oprimir la estrella y 0 para escuchar en español. For our phone participants, we would like to invite you to watch the live stream by visiting viainfo.net/townhall. For our attendees participating on the web, you can submit your questions in the chat box below the streaming player. And if you're watching us on Facebook, feel free to submit your questions in the comment sections for our Facebook administrator, who will answer your questions in the chat and share some questions with our panel. As Vice President of Customer Relations and Sales, I and our panelists value the chance to hear directly from you about our VIAtrans service. VIAtrans plays a critical role in connecting people to essential destinations, including work, school, medical appointments, pharmacies, and visiting loved ones. Access to safe, reliable, and affordable mobility options is key to uplifting our community, and your feedback is important to helping us make this possible. As VIAtrans ridership continues to grow, your insights will help ensure that we meet the evolving needs of our customers. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to the members on today's panel. Joining us today is David Vidal, Manager of Paratransit Operations, and Carolyn Doughterty, Manager of ADA and Accessible Services. Again, we'd like to remind you that this is an interactive forum and we want to hear from you. We are currently live and will be taking as many questions as possible from our participants over the duration of this discussion. If you have questions, you can press *3 on your phone keypad at any time and you will be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff. After that, the next time you hear your name, you will be live on the call and will be able to ask your question directly to the panel. Y para las participantes que prefieren escuchar en español, bienvenidos. Favor de oprimir la estrella y 0 para escuchar en español. Before we get started, David and Carolyn, would you each like to give a few brief remarks? We'll start with you, David.
Oh, thanks for having me, Priscilla. Yeah, I'm glad to be here this afternoon to talk about some of the exciting things we're working on with VIAtrans and to give more insight regarding our new ViaLink downtown service.
Great. Carolyn, what about you?
Yeah, no, I agree with David. This is an exciting opportunity, and I look forward to hearing from everyone through today's workshop.
Yes, and please don't hesitate to call us if you have any questions. We'd just like to remind you that if you do have a question, you can press *3 on your phone keypad at any time, and you will be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff. After that, the next time you hear your name, you will be live on the call and will be able to ask your question directly to us. So now let's turn to you, Carolyn. We're going to begin our discussion today by talking about the VIAtrans trip cancellation policy. Take it away.
All right. So the VIAtrans trip cancellation policy is referred to in the VIAtrans customer service guide as being the no-show program in the customer guide there. And a no-show is when a patron fails to board or is not present for boarding when the VIAtrans vehicle arrives. And a late cancellation occurs when a trip is canceled less than an hour before the agreed upon pickup time. Next slide, please. So a no-show and late cancellations are the two types of incidents that are tracked each month as part of the no-show program. But we know that sometimes unexpected things like a sudden change of plans or your alarm not going off or not feeling well, happen. So VIA allows up to 3 incidents per month without any kind of a penalty. The reason that we have the no-show policy is because we work very hard to keep the VIAtrans service running on time. And each of those no-show or late cancellation incidents causes a delay in service. And that affects other patrons and may end up making them run late for their appointments. So we try to make sure that everyone stays on time so that no one is missing appointments. We also have some additional no-show specifics and some pro tips to help avoid getting no-shows. We all need to remember that the VIAtrans patrons are expected to be waiting outside at the curb 10 minutes before the scheduled pickup time. And we know that that can be difficult, especially with bad weather, but it is necessary for us to make sure that you're ready to go when the driver arrives. And when the vehicle does arrive, you only have 5 minutes from when the van arrives before you do need to be boarding. Also, the negotiated pickup time, it's kind of an estimate. It's based on a 30-minute ready window of a 10-minute time period starting before the negotiated time to up to 20 minutes after. So, So if you are outside at that curb and ready to board, or if you're at the front porch, but you can't make it to the curb within the 5 minutes, then you are considered a no-show. One of the situations that we do see sometimes is when that happens and the driver does still transport, it does still count as a no-show, even though they did take you, because it did still delay the service. We also want to make sure that we keep in mind the bag policy, that you're only allowed to have 2 bags on the van with you when you're traveling. If you have an excessive amount of bags and the vehicle is full, the driver may have to not transport you that time because of that. And that does still count as a no-show incident because of the fact that you are aware of the policy from the customer guide. So with late cancellations being the biggest thing to remember is that you need to request the cancellation at least 1 hour before the negotiated pickup time. You can cancel trips through the VOS portal or by calling the 210-362-5050 number at least 1 hour before that pickup time. Just keep in mind, though, that when you cancel a trip, the return trip is not automatically canceled unless you actually specifically request it, and that does include subscription trips. So some of the pro tips to remember is that you don't have to hold on the line to wait to talk to someone to cancel the trip. You can instead do the automated phone process where you cancel it and you do get a confirmation number. And it's just always good to jot down the time and date of that call as well as that confirmation number. And or you can talk to an agent through the phone line as well. And they are available for cancellations between as early as 4 in the morning. So if you have an early pickup, you can still call in advance and cancel that trip so that you don't get a late cancellation incident. Right. And so if
I could just remind our listeners that if you do have a question regarding the cancellation policy, please call in and we'll get to your question at the conclusion of the presentation.
All right. So with the types of incidents that we've just been discussing, they all kind of get lumped together into one bucket of incidents that accrue. So if you end up in any given month having more than those 3 allowed incidents in a calendar month, you get a phone call, and that advises you that you have reached that amount, and that if you get another incident during that month, you risk your service being suspended. So you do have that additional reminder, and you can call and ask questions and get clarification if you need to at that point. And the first month that happens, when you are a VIAtrans patron, we mail you out a letter that typically would be a suspension letter, but in this case, it's just a warning letter, and it lets you know that you did exceed the amount of incidents, and that going forward, if you are to get that many, you would then be suspended. So the second month, when you end up exceeding the 3 incidents, you get a 7-day suspension, and then a 14 and a 21-day on the subsequent months. So with the suspensions, you do still have access to riding the regular fixed route bus services and the Via Link service as well. And you have the ability to do the taxi subsidy as well. So if you do still need transportation during that suspension time, there are still options out there. And just as a reminder, all of the information that I've covered is in that printed VIAtrans customer service guide that you can either have access to digitally in English or Spanish on our website, or you can come down to the Via Metro Center and we can provide you with one, or you can call Accessible Services at 362-2140 and we can mail one to you, and again in English or in Spanish. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the information, Carolyn. We do have somebody on the line who's got a question for us, Mr. Chris Ramirez. You're on the line. Would you like to ask a question?
Yes. Hi. Thank you for taking my call. So I'm on dialysis. So I write via 3 times a week. I've been doing it for about 1.5 years, and I notice a trend, and it kind of goes with the cancellation policy. I think that as a dialysis person or someone who's on dialysis, when you coordinate a pickup time for a return trip and the VIAtrans or the Via van arrives maybe a little early, the patients on dialysis just can't pop off the chair and get outside. They're hooked up to a machine. And so then that causes a lot of people there to miss their rides because they're either, they get like a 2-minute window to get, a 2 to 3 minute window to get outside. And if they have a slotted time to get picked up and the VIAtrans goes up early, then, and if they're still on the chair hooked up, then they're going to, 1, they can't get off the chair because if they get off too early, they're going to bleed out. And 2, then that causes them to go on a no-show or cancellation thing, and then, causes a headache because then the client has to wait possibly an additional 2 hours for a ride home. And I think that according to what I've learned through the Via drivers is that dialysis is one of the number 1 customers. So I think that at least for dialysis patients should get a little bit more of a cushion, because it's just not like at any other doctor's appointment where they can just come outside pretty easily. And then also you need to keep in mind that a lot of the clientele are older people, and a lot of what I've noticed is a lot of the people that set up the older people's rides are family members or other third parties. So they're kind of, get stuck in the middle, because I've been there where I've had to wait 2 hours with other patients for a ride because the VIAtrans shows up on the scheduled time, yes, but if the dialysis center doesn't get you off in time, then they miss a ride, and it causes a lot of headache. Thank you for my question.
Sure. So with dialysis in particular, what we recommend is that you set the pickup time for farther out than you expect to be able to need it, right? So if your treatment, it's a set amount of time on a fixed schedule. So if you should be done and out of the chair by 2 o'clock, then I would recommend setting up a pickup for a farther timeout, like, 2:45 or 3 o'clock, something like that, because the van can get there 10 minutes before whatever time you have set up. So if you set it up, you may end up waiting a little bit, but then you're not waiting 2 hours, and you're also then not waiting, or you're not risking missing your trip or missing that important treatment. So you might consider that. The other thing that some folks do is they will take regular VIAtrans to dialysis, and then they will use the taxi subsidy to go home, because that's a same day option. And for some that live close by within that 3 miles, it ends up being a better option for them. Or if you live in a VIA link zone, you have the ability to use that as well if your dialysis and your home are both in that area.
All right, go
Can
ahead.
I add to that
Sure.
too, please? I'm sorry. There's also another option which we have for medical appointments and doctor's appointments and stuff like for these types of situations is will call. You can set up a will call return trip, and when you call in and schedule your trip, and you can schedule your pickup time. So you don't schedule a pickup time; you schedule a will call pickup with the reservation agent. And when you're done with your appointment or about to be done with your appointment, you can call us and let us know, and we'll pick you up. The caveat to that is that there is a 2-hour window pickup, but we usually pick you up within half an hour and no later than an hour to that.
So they have to have a window of time to give you to schedule that?
Right. So there's not a window time. So once their appointment is over, they can call in and said they're ready.
Oh, they have a window from the time.
They can call in. So once they call in, there's a 2-hour window for us to go and service that trip.
And I think that's what the caller was indicating too, if they were concerned about that 2 hours.
Well, so it's not typically 2 hours. It's just I guess by FTA regulations, that's what we have to provide that service. So we're usually within half an hour. I would say usually no later than that.
Okay, great. We do have an online question from Mr. Benjamin Ortiz. His question is this: yesterday I was taken to an appointment and I forgot to get the driver's information. They left me outside after my appointment. When something like this happens, how should I get the driver's name or number, or what should I do with situations like that?
The best thing to do is call on the concern line.
Yes, you call our concern line, but what if they get stranded on their trip? They can just call our the dispatcher. How does that work?
They can, but there's no guarantee that we can go back and pick them up because it was a scheduled trip, and we don't assume responsibility for if a facility is closed because the customer booked their trip. Right. So it's hard for us to get back. So the turnaround time is not going to be as quick. It probably could be within a couple hours or something like that. Right. So really. And
so I would like to let our listeners know, whenever you do have a concern, you have an incident that occurred or an experience you had, that you want to communicate that to us, please call us at 362-2020, and we have our agents there, and they will get your concern registered, and it will get to the appropriate department to be looked at. And we do follow up with the customer if they would like for us to follow up with them. But we do have a team of people that work with the departments regularly to follow up on those types of things. So please don't hesitate to, and it doesn't only have to be for VIAtrans. It could be for a bus that might have left you behind, or a bus stop that needs to be cleaned. Any concerns like that you have related any of our services, you can give us a call. We do have a live caller. Judy Graff is on the line. Judith, would you like to give us your question?
Okay, yes. Mine is kind of similar, but thank you for taking my call, and perhaps we can find an easier task. There have been several times where I had to go out of town, and the person watching Debbie was given a specific time. When Via would call me as a courtesy, I would call them. We would get her out there as soon as we can because we have to come out, walk laying down the path. And but there have been times where we had to go out of town together. And I was just wondering, is there a better day? An example is we are going on a big family cruise in March. And we will be gone for 9 days. And so when you're out on the water, we don't have the opportunity to call in like you can call in, let's say, Saturday to cancel Sunday and Monday. Then Monday, you got to call in to cancel Tuesday or Wednesday. We're not going to have that opportunity. And so what is the procedure so that she doesn't leave her long-term ride, because she's mentally challenged. Plus, this time she's developed dementia. And I have had issues where her pickup time from the workshop is supposed to be 3:15 every day. And I've come home twice already from my doctor's appointments, like 3 o'clock, and she's standing by the curb because with the dementia, she's unable to get up the curb by herself. And so me not knowing that she's there. And so, that's one of my concerns also. So it's about calling in for the trip that's coming up. And then the other thing is that half-hour window that they can just come and just let her there and not see that she gets to the walkway, just leave her there by the curb.
Yes,
Sorry, I hope I
ma'am.
didn't confuse you.
I could take the first part of that question. So, in regard to your long-term scenario, when you are going on vacation or need to take a break from the subscription service, please feel free to call in and speak to our scheduling department, and we're willing to work with you. If you give us a time frame, we could put that on hold, and then when you come back, you can just let us know. That way, you don't have to call in and cancel or change any existing trips that you have for your long-term. And for the you want to talk about the DNLA or
Yeah. So with the drop-offs from day programs like that, one thing that is an option for individuals that have, a cognitive impairment or a memory issue, or there's concern about them being left, because there is that window, and if they get dropped, that's a concern. You can ask for Do Not Leave Alone, which is the DNLA program. What that means is that with that active, the driver will not let the patron get out of the van without an adult 18 or older to sign for them. So they would be handed off to another individual that could help care for them. And if you wanted to request that, you can call Accessible Services at the 210-362-2140 phone number, or you can come down to the VIA Metro Center 8 to 4 Monday through Friday, and we can get you the form. You just fill out a little form and sign it, and that puts that on. But it is then for all trips, not just for some.
And Carolyn, you want to give her the street address for the VMC in case she wants to swing by and visit with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. The address is 1021 San Pedro. It's there on San Pedro across from the college.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Judith. We appreciate you asking that question. We do have another live caller, Paul, and he's got a question about the cancellation guidelines. Paul?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call. So one of the questions that I had that I addressed earlier was about the cancellation services. And the reason being is because there are times where I may get to go to an appointment early and get out early from my scheduled appointment. And so if I call VIAtrans service for an early pickup, you guys have been very accommodating on that. However, one of the concerns that I have, would that count as a cancellation, even though I may have still had a scheduled pickup time later that afternoon, which is usually 2 hours after my scheduled doctor's appointment?
No, that doesn't count. That does not count as a cancellation. We are usually, when we're able to accommodate that, we will do that. If we have the service out there available to provide the trip or the pickup for the trip.
Great.
But it won't count as a cancellation. We'll just notate it as an early pickup.
Great. Thank you so much for the questions we received. Again, when it comes to concerns or other questions you may have, don't hesitate to call us at 362-2020. We have a team. We're open 7 days a week to take calls, and we'll get the questions to the appropriate department to handle that. So before we move on, we'd like to put out one of our polling questions and get your responses to the questions that we're going to present to you today. So our first question is, how often do you travel on VIAtrans with a companion? The question is, how often do you travel on VIAtrans with a companion? Do you travel once a week, more than once a week, once a month, more than once a month, or never? Again, the question is, how often do you travel on VIAtrans with a companion? Is it once a week, more than once a week, once a month, more than once a month, or never. And we'll get you, share the results with you when we get those. So thank you for taking the time to respond to that. So now we're going to move on to our next subject, which is the VIA downtown zone. We don't know how many of you are familiar with this new service that we've been offering in certain sectors of our service area, but it does provide another option for travel. And so we're going to turn it over to you to give us, David, to give us this presentation.
Thank you, Priscilla. Absolutely. I'd like to just give an update on some of the downtown zone. It's another service that the VIA has expanded to, and just some reminders as to what VIA service is. Next slide, please. So we do currently have 5 zones now, which the downtown being the newest. We still have the mainland, which is in the northwest side. We have this Madla, which is in the south side. The east side is the Randolph zone, which was our newest zone until the downtown zone. And then in the northern east side is our mainland zone. I mean, not mainland, I'm sorry, our Naco Pass zone, which is on the top northeast side. And then, of course, in the center of San Antonio, we have our new downtown zone, which we're very excited about. Next slide, please. So just a quick reminder what VIA is. VIA is part of VIA's family of transit services. It's an on-demand service delivered within a zone, as you saw, as we presented the zones a second ago. And it is a first last mile solution that links to VIA's bus services. Next slide, please. And just a quick reminder of how it works. First, you would book a trip, and there's 3 booking options. You could download the VIA mobile app and book a trip on there. You can go online to viainfo.net/link, or you can call in at 210-655-LINK, which is 5465. And if you're using the app, you would first book a trip on the app, then you would pay on the app, and then you would meet the driver at your pickup location that you designated on your booking. Take the ride, and then you take it to your destination inside the zone or to another transfer service, which is would be our fixed route service, our bus service. Next slide, please. So as I stated earlier, here's an update to the VIA service, something that we incorporated at the beginning of August, at the beginning of the semester for the Northeast Lakeview College. What we did was we incorporated Northeast Lakeview College into the VIA service. So from the Naco Pass zone, which is in the far northeast side, and the Randolph zone, which is on the east side, you can take trips now to the Northeast Lakeview College. The travel times for the Randolph zone are the same as the operating zone, which is 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. From the Naco Pass zone is 5 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. And just to give an example, the wait times are approximately 30 minutes during peak service when most students and staff are utilizing the service between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. Other wait times beyond that might be a little bit longer, up to 60 minutes. And then the pickup and drop-off location at the school is Paluxy Hall. Next slide, please. And then this is a zoomed-in depiction of the new zone, the downtown zone. The downtown zone does have a smaller service within the zone called the Little Runner. And the Little Runner is basically a service that provides a circular type or kind of like a fixed route inside the zone from the parking lot outside the downtown UTSA campus along the route down De La Rosa to provide service to other UTSA locations within the zone. And then the zone for the downtown zone also incorporates the Pearl and Southtown, which are located outside the boundaries of the zone, but we still incorporate that. It also includes Central Plaza, our Ellis Alley Park and Ride, the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center, the UTSA downtown campus, and of course the Pearl and Southtown. And Southtown currently had 2 drop-off or pick-up and drop-off locations or virtual stops, and a third one was added just south of the existing Blue Star virtual stop. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
All right. We do have a question from William. He's got a question about wheelchair accessibility on VIA. William?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for taking my call. So I wanted to know the Via Link and the taxi service. Are those if you're a wheelchair user, are those equipped to pick up people in chairs?
Yes. We do have vehicles that are accessible on both the taxi and the Via-Link service. And the option to book it is on too. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you the option to book it, so I would just go online to book it and.
Yes, sir. Yes, so it's exactly what you do. You just go online, and there's when you're selecting the booking options, there's an option for accessible service too.
Great. And we'd like to remind our listeners that they can, when they ask a question, to please dial *3, and we will get you online to answer your question. David, would you like to take a few minutes just to talk about Z-Trip? We do have somebody online that wants to know about that.
Let's explain Z-Trip. Okay. Well, Z-Trip works in several different ways. Z-Trip is our taxi service that helps us provide expanded service for our paratransit operations. They do handle our subsidy service as well for our taxi subsidy. Mm-hmm. So it's a local taxi corporation that we partner with and provide other VIAtrans type services. And they also have partnered with our contractor for the Via-Link service and provides the service for our Via-Link service as well.
And we do have information about that service on our website. Right. So please feel free to take a look at that off our website. Or again, if you have more questions, once you look at our website, then feel free to give us a call at 362-2020, and we will get you the information that you need. So we do have the responses to our first poll question. And the poll question was, how often do you travel on VIAtrans with a companion? What our results are showing us that those of you who responded, 30% of you do travel at least once a week with a companion. 15% of you travel more than once a week with a companion. And then 37% of you travel about once a month with a companion. 4%, it's more than once a month. And then 14% of you are not traveling with a companion at all. So we appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us about the service. And of course, if they are going to bring a companion with them on the trip, they would need to let them know when they're scheduling the trip, correct?
Absolutely.
So
yes.
please keep that in mind. So we're going to go to our next presentation, which is the next generation fare boxes. We know that this may not impact all of you, but we wanted to make you aware of it because there will be some changes with respect to the ID card when it is implemented. So we could go to the next slide. Next slide. So currently underway, we are replacing our fare boxes with next generation fare boxes. If you have family members who ride the service, they've probably already encountered these fare boxes. They're going to provide us with opportunities for our customers to have an easier way to pay. One of the things that they'll see is that you may be aware that there are the MagStripe cards that we have been using to collect fare. We are now going to be transitioning people over to our Go Light cards. Those will be the new fare instrument that people use. The great thing about it is that you'll be able to register this card. You'll be able to add fare to that card. If you have any issues, our field reps can help you at the various ticket windows to get you the information that you need. Next slide. And so there are some benefits to this transition. Of course, one of them is what I had just mentioned, that the Go Light cards allow you to store fare. You could register the card at our ticket windows, and then we'll be able to help you track your card. If you lose it, we could replace it much more easily. We weren't able to do that with the MagStripe card, so that's a new feature that it will offer. It also has your data on the card, so if we ever need to track it down for you or help you replace it or see if we find it, we can contact you and get that to you. And of course, it provides greater security for you as well. So next slide. On this slide, I will transition it over to Carolyn and she'll take it from here.
Thank you. So the next steps is linking all of the payment interactions into one fare system in phase 2. So the upgraded validators are going to go onto all of the vehicles that include the VIAtrans and the VIALink. They will have those new and upgraded smart cards, and all the fare media will be connected to that one source, which makes it so that they'll talk to each other better and to the vehicles. All right, next slide, please. For the VIAtrans patrons in particular, the things to know at this point is just that we will begin issuing the new VIAtrans cards in late 2025, and the current or existing VIAtrans Go cards will continue to be accepted for your trips like normal for an extended period, and we'll communicate any changes with that. And that's also for the VIALink and the VIA bus, as well as the VIAtrans vehicles. And customers will have the opportunity to transition to that new ID card so that they can participate with that new fare system and be able to utilize those. And more information about the new VIAtrans card rollout will be coming out in summer to fall of 2025.
Right. And we'll make sure to keep you advised of that, and we'll have a lot of information to share with you as we make that transition. So thank you, Carolyn, for that information. So we want to move on to our next poll question, but I would like to remind you to dial *3 if you have any questions for us. If you'll do *3, we can get you online and get your questions answered. But we want to move on to our next poll question, which is, how do you pay your VIAtrans fare? Do you pay with cash? Do you pay with VIAtrans tickets? Do you use the Via Go mobile app or the Via Go card? Again, the question is, how do you pay your VIAtrans fare? Is it cash, VIAtrans tickets, Via Go mobile app, or the Via Go card? And make sure to press 1 if it's cash, press 2 if it's VIAtrans tickets, press 3 if it's Via Go mobile app, and 4 if it's Go card. Again, 1 for cash, 2 for VIAtrans tickets, 3 for Via Go mobile app, and 4 for Go card. So we do have some questions. We have some callers online with questions on various issues related to VIAtrans, and so we're going to try to take a few of those now with our panelists. Our first caller on the line is Diana. Diana, what is your question?
Yes. Would I be able to travel from one VIALink zone to another?
Not directly. You'd have to do transfers to a fixed route and then to another link zone. But the transfers are the same as they operate in the bus service. They're no charge.
And that's because we don't have a lot of VIALink zones that are connected, right?
There's not any connected.
Right, they're not connecting. So you will have to take a bus from one zone to the other.
Yeah, and the VIALink service only operates within the zone that it's in.
All right, we have another live caller. Daniel, you're on the line. Your question, please.
Yeah, on the little runners, I didn't get how you contact them, and do they come to your place to pick you up, or do you have to meet them somewhere?
So the little runner is more like a fixed route type service. It's still, you still operate on the app with the same. It still operates under the same app that the VIALink service does. It's just a service within inside a service. So I hope that answers your question.
All right, our next live caller with a question. Her name is Sharon. Sharon, you're on.
Do I talk now?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry. I had already talked to a lady, and I thought she would present the questions I had to ask. But thank you for taking my questions. The first one has to do with cancellation. And I was wondering if you have a will call scheduled, but then, say, a family member decides they can come and pick you up. Do you need to call and cancel the will calls?
Yes, ma'am. When you have a will call scheduled, it counts as a trip. So you would need to cancel that if you're not going to utilize it.
That's when we called in that we didn't need to call in. Anyway, the other question I have is sometimes we have scheduled to pay with our VIAtrans card with contract riders, but then very often we'll be told the machines aren't working. Are they going to be part of the new system, and will our cards work there now? Then?
So we are going to replace the cards. So your existing card will not work on the new fare system, but we will get you the new card as we transition over, and you'll be able to utilize that system with that.
And we'll make certain that all of our VIAtrans clients are aware of the change that's happening, give you plenty of time to get through the transition, provide you the instructional information that you need. So you won't have to be too concerned about it right now, because we will make sure to do outreach and have a team available to help any of our customers through the transition. All right, thank you, Sharon. Next up, we have Alejandro. Are you online with a question?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you.
So I have a question about a couple things. One, it's the sort of time given to passengers before the driver takes off and considers the passenger a no-show. And secondly, it's the policy about not being able to get in on the other side of the car. So for the bus, it's no problem because like there's only one door facing the sidewalk to the right of the bus, which is fine. But for vans, it's a bigger problem because you kind of have to climb over a chair and over the wheelchair part to get to the other seat. And for people who are I guess have problems in their legs and ankles, such as me and my mother, it's kind of hard to do that. And finally, it's where and also the tablet where it's mounted in the front seat tends to stab my kneecap when I sit down in the front seat of those vans. It's specifically the vans, honestly. And also, of course, like not all the time, thankfully, but some of the time drivers will show up, start a stopwatch, and within the couple of minutes take off. And I just find that to be very inconsistent because some drivers are like, oh yeah, no, the grace period is like 5 minutes, and then some of them say, nope, it's like 2 minutes and I'm out of here.
Okay, no, I'll take that. The wait time is 5 minutes. There's no exception to that. As far as opening the door on the driver's side to let passengers in, we don't do that due to safety regulations. Especially if we're parked on the street, we're not going to open the door to the street side of or to the street side period. And to address the knee issue with the equipment that's placed in the vehicles, I apologize for that. We could take a look at that. If you're having issues with that, please call us out there. We can get a supervisor out there and take a look at the situation and see if we can make any accommodations for you.
And there was a question also about the amount of time that the driver will wait. But if you have concern about the 2 minutes that you mentioned, you can always call, and
Yes,
we
please.
can validate that because there are recordings and
Yes,
ways that we can verify exactly how long the vehicle was there, so that it doesn't come down to, somebody's word against somebody else's.
Absolutely. Please call it in on the number that you see on screen, the 362-2020, and let us know about those incidents that happen so we can investigate that and address it appropriately.
All right, thank you for the question. We do have the results for our second poll question, so I'd like to share that information with you. The question was, how do you pay for VIAtrans fare? 27% of you say that you are paying cash. 38% are paying with VIAtrans tickets. We have 20% who are paying off the Go mobile app, and 15% that are paying with the Go card, putting their fare on the Go card. So thank you for your responses. I do want to give out our last poll question for the session and put that out for you. And it really kind of ties to the Z trip question, which was about our taxi subsidy service. So the question is, do you know that VIA offers a taxi subsidy service for VIAtrans customers who need a same-day trip? Press 1 for yes or 2 for no. The question again is, do you know that VIA offers a taxi subsidy service for VIAtrans customers who need a same-day trip? 1 for yes and 2 for no. So we'll go to our next live caller while you're giving us your vote, and that is Adrian. Adrian, how can we help you? Adrian, are you there?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was busy dialing the one. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay.
My name. Sorry.
You were
I
multitasking.
apologize. No, my question is kind of like circling back to the no call, no show. So basically, I take dialysis. I go 3 times a week. I don't do the scheduled ride for my return trip home because I never know, like the gentleman was saying earlier, I don't know what time like I'm going to get out of my dialysis. So I choose to do the will call. So I'll wait in the lobby, but like you were saying, or I don't know if it was the other lady saying, that the policy is we're supposed to wait outside 10 minutes before our ride is supposed to arrive. Well, in that case, I don't have a scheduled time, right? So since I'm actually using that service with multiple people, and the driver gets there, and I've been no call, no show before because the driver never comes in to announce who they're there for. So they just wait there like 5 minutes and then they take off. And then when I call in to check on my ride, they say, well, you got no call, no show because you weren't there. And I'm like, well, the driver never came in to, announce who they're here for. So, I mean, I think that's a little, I don't know what the word is for that, but I mean, it's a problem.
I can appreciate the frustration and the confusion there. And the answer, I think David can confirm, but with a will call, the expectation is that you don't call that you're ready until you're outside ready for the vehicle to arrive. Do I have that correct?
Generally, yes, but that is actually a topic I would like to investigate further when I get back into the office tomorrow. I'll discuss it with my team to see if there's some type of procedures or protocols that we can come up with to eliminate some of that frustration on your end. So definitely take that into consideration.
So thank you, Adrian, for that. We'll look into it and see what we can do to make it easier, not only for you, but our other customers who may be experiencing that. Next caller that we have on the line is Dora. Dora, do you have your question? Dora, are you there?
Dora, are you there?
Yes.
Okay,
Hello?
Go ahead. Ask us your question, Dora. We're ready.
Yes, ma'am. The reason that I talked to somebody already is that when I call for transportation, I always ask if they can send that little VIAtrans, the buses, because I need the lifter. And they send the van, and it's so hard for me to get in there because I cannot raise my legs, and I need help for somebody to raise my feet and put it in. And they cannot help me. They cannot touch me. That's what they tell me. So sometimes I have to make sure I have a friend or somebody that's invited to help me. Like when I go to Walmart, I don't have a problem there because when I'm waiting outside, there's a lot of people outside. And they see that I'm having problem getting there. They help me to get in the van.
Getting off, it's okay. Getting in, and I cannot use the little stool because I lose my balance very easy. And I've been calling about that. That I would sure appreciate it. They send a little bus every time I need the transportation, and they told me that they were gonna try as long as I will use it before 5 o'clock. So they told me by 5 o'clock, those little buses they go and park. They go home.
Right. So did you say you have called in before and asked for assistance with that?
Yes.
Did they tell you that they would send somebody out to assess your situation?
Yes, they already came and checked my my RAM and all that, and so
Okay.
that's it.
Sure.
Can I get your last name, please, if that's okay with you?
My left
Dor-
name,
Yes,
Christian.
ma'am.
Yep.
Eorsean.
Okay. I'm gonna take
Or
yours.
And we have that information also.
Yeah, I can take a look into your case and see what that is and try to get back with you within the next week.
All right, Dora, thank you. And so we'll look into that for you, and David will get back to you. We're going to give you the results to the third poll question, which was, do you know that VIA offers a taxi subsidy service for VIAtrans customers who need a same-day ride? 44% of you said yes, 56% of you said no. So that tells me we probably need to do a little more to educate our VIAtrans clients on that, because it's a wonderful option when you need a same-day trip. You can just connect to the cab company, and they can get you taken care of to get you your destination. So we only have a few minutes left. We're going to see if we can get another one or two questions in. So we'll start with Alva. You're next.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. Thank you for this program.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how to use the link, and I live downtown. I live across from the Institute of Texts and Cultures, which is opposite Henry B. Gonzalez. Is it possible to use that link in our area?
It is if you're within. I'm not exactly sure exactly where you're located, but if you're within the zone, then yes, you are able to use the link service.
Right. And although we have your information, so we can get back to you and let you know if you are, but you may be, if you're in the area, we do encourage you to use it. So you're in the zone if you are north of Cesar Chavez.
Yeah.
Do you know if you are? If not, we can find
I'm
out.
across the street from the Institute of Texts and Cultures.
Yes.
Is
So
that
you're
north or-
Yeah.
that it might be.
That's south of it.
It's south of it? Okay. Okay, you're south of that location. However, if we can find out what's the closest stop to the Z-Link, you may not be too far from being able to take advantage of the service. But we'll follow up with you. I'll get someone to reach out to you and talk you through that. But thank you all for that, and we'll get back to you. So our next caller is Angelica. Angelica, are you there?
Yes.
Great. What is your question?
Yes. So this is due to error and cancellation. I normally work at Morgan's Wonderland theme park, and I was just wondering for the future, if it's raining and we cannot leave our department area, what do we do with the cancellation, or will we be considered late if we don't get to the door on time?
Yes, we remind our patrons that VIAtrans is a replacement for the fixed route bus service, and that comes with the territory of riding the public bus, which includes inclement weather. So there are times when you might you need to pack an umbrella or stand under the overhang to be able to be out there and ready for your trip for pickup to avoid that late cancellation. Or if it's raining and you know that you're not going to be able to, then you can make other arrangements and just let us know more than an hour in advance.
Carolyn, what about the situation where there's a rainstorm, somebody's got an 8 o'clock doctor's appointment, they're getting ready to get picked up, but they just find out from their doctor they're going to be closed that day because of weather, and they've got a pickup scheduled sometime between 8 and 9 to get there. How is that treated?
So because we understand that things like that can happen, that falls under the 3 incidents per month that we allow.
Oh, okay.
And so those are the kinds of things that you may get an incident, but as long as you say under 3 for the whole month, then it doesn't cause a problem. You don't end up having any kind of a penalty
And the slate's
for
wiped clean after that month, and you start over
it.
again.
Just every calendar month, it's completely wiped clean.
All right, I think we have time for one more caller, and that is Ray. You're on the line. You have a question for us? Ray, are you there? Ray, are you there? Okay, so, all right, Ray, if you are listening and you have a question or concern, please call us at 362-2020 and we will get you taken care of. But thank you so much. So we've come to the closing, we've come to the end of our live event for this afternoon. We want to thank all of you for taking the time to join us for this important conversation. We appreciate the opportunity to speak with you directly and answer your questions and give you advice and direction on some of the things that you were concerned about. If you were not able to get a question to us this afternoon, you can leave a voicemail after the event by simply staying on the call when we end, and you will be transferred into our voicemail system. And we will be responding to you once you've left your information with us, along with your concern. You can also send your questions to us by mail at cust.serv@viainfo.net. That's cust.serv@viainfo.net. Or you can call us at our office at 210-517-4715. The person on the line will take your information so that we can get back to you with an answer to your question. If you'd like to learn more about the VIAtrans service, you can go to our website at viainfo.net/VIAtrans. We just want to thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We hope we given you some information that will help you with your experience when you use our service. We look forward to continuing to serve you, and we want to wish each of you a happy holiday season. Take care.